Good morning. Good morning. Hope all is well. Second time trying to start this video. I had to run back in the house. Had to come back and I forgot my tie here. So I don't know if I'm going to need one today. I have a press conference, and so it's a little muggy, but we'll see. I have to kind of measure and see how everybody else is dressed. So, suit jacket, nice, nice slacks, brown shoes, brown belt, just keeping it semi-casual here. Semi-formal, I mean. Anyway, so wanted to kind of, well, scent of the day today, I'm wearing Untold, and which is the take on Lafayette Street, a phenomenal take on that. I recommend it, guys. If you guys are a big fan of Lafayette Street and or I'm sorry, Game of Spades, Wild Card. If you're into that DNA, 100%, guys, get this, dial it in. Don't even think about it. This is definitely a nicer blend, a nice quality blend. So, anyway, so this is my scent of the day, and I layered it with the Yamaleo's take on Creed cologne. So I layered both of them. So both are kind of bright, punchy, and so they go well. And one other layering combo, just in case you're into layering, Banadier's take on Gentle Fluidity Silver and their take on Lovers. You layer both of those guys. I compliments. I've been stopped, asked several times. That's a phenomenal combination. Anyway, but that's a whole nother video. So today I wanted to kind of just take a moment to talk a little bit about um, how I view fragrance, and how I relate it to housing development and real estate development and my line of work, right? And just kind of want to make some comparisons here and kind of why I make certain decisions and why, why I'm taking this journey and taking the steps that I do during this journey in terms of just learning about fragrance, right? And so, look, um, really enjoy the content. I enjoy fragrance. I enjoy it because, once again, I'm going to keep repeating that I'm very intentional in terms of how I show up in the world, how I walk into rooms. Yesterday, had two very high net worth individuals meeting with me. Where we're talking about real estate, just talking about, just blown away by like the boomer generation and how they were able to build wealth, right? And it's like these stories where, hey, yeah, I worked as the clerk, I made work myself up to manager, swept floors, and I owned the company, right? Like you're like, what? Like those paths to success and wealth, and right, like the game has changed in terms of the path from starting from nothing to becoming high net worth, right? I mean, it's a different economy, it's a different time, different skill sets. Back in their generation, it was about working hard and putting time in and, working your way up the ladder, right? Like um, that old blueprint that we were given, right? And that I was given by my mother, and just kind of like go to college, and and that's all changed, especially for the next generation and my sons and their kids and my grandchildren. And so, and also, like, I have a foot in both worlds, right? I have a foot in that I saw an older generation that lived and taught me that old blueprint, and also I saw a shift in terms of the economy, the job market, the skill sets, and the impact on the younger generation in terms of things becoming affordable, accessible, and being able to move forward, right? And so I'm saying all this to say that, and I'm looking at this whole fragrance kind of, world, right? And to me, look, it's a hobby, right? But also, I genuinely see, and I like some of the influencers or some of the kind of people that I watch, talk about, fragrance like they've been in the corporate world, like, hey, you want to smell like a boss status, this, that, owner, the CEO, the company, right? And I'm sitting there like, well, first of all, it's very obvious to me that you've never been a CEO. It's very obvious to me that you probably haven't even worked in corporate America. And it's very obvious to me, right, that you're kind of telling a story that you haven't really lived. And because a few things. Number one is that I've been both in the public sector, I've been in corporate America, nonprofit sector, now starting my own company, being around a lot of different people, being in the real estate industry for 25 years, right? I'm around people who, whether it's the foreman or the guy who owns the construction company or or joint venture partner who has a very high net worth, right? So I'm around, like I've seen different people at different levels of the spectrum, and so it's kind of weird to see people on on these fragrance channels kind of, not all of them, but some of them try to kind of give you this perception or these stories about what a boss or a CEO or whatever whatever that is, right? And you got to smell like that, and and it's bullshit, guys. I could genuinely tell you the high net worth individuals that I'm around, that I work with, that I'm pitching to, especially that older generation, right? Like that boomer generation. Absolutely, these influencers are telling you lies. All right. Are there people with high net worth, that wear fragrance? And obviously, there are people that have money that buy the stuff, but it's a very niche kind of, very small segment of the population. And so that's why, I'm telling you this story, and making this video because you're going to see like a lot of my content is about, being in the professional sector, just kind of being out in the field, also just kind of just feeling better about myself, right? Like losing weight, kind of working out, um and getting healthy, and just changing my life over the last 18 months. Had some health scares, had two heart surgeries, finding out I had AFib. I didn't even know I had AFib, right? I was overweight, I lost about 80 pounds, just taking care of myself, right? And just kind of like, so fragrance is part of that journey, right? And just how I'm showing up in the world differently now, and how I'm dealing with stress and managing projects, and just showing up differently in the world for myself, for my family, for my wife, in these rooms, right? And so with that, I think fragrance is a part of that. It's not the end all be all, right? It's the final piece that I add on after I've already planned out my gear for the day. I've planned out my week. I know, what I try to kind of think through, kind of, how I'm going to show up, right? And that's why I enjoy fragrance, because it helps me tell that story. And so, like I was talking to my daughter, she's like, "Why do you have so many?" Like all my Bandiers, my Yamaleos, my my name brand stuff, right? My designer stuff. That's the word I was looking for here, right? And so she's like, "Why do you have so many things?" I was like, "Well, why do you have so many shirts? Why do you have so many pants?" She's like, "Well, because I need them." I said, "Well, this is part of my wardrobe, right?" I said, "So, and also, it's also, I know personally that I'm not, if I look at my my shelf." you know, maybe I don't know what the number is, but it's a nice size, right? Maybe 20 25 bottles, 30 bottles, right? I had more. I sold them off actually. I'm mailing out more stuff now to people that have bought some of my older clones and my inspired buys. So I'm kind of selling them kind of like for next to nothing. Why? Because I want to kind of give someone else an opportunity to use them. I'm not reaching for them. I got something back. Maybe I recovered 250. Now I'm up to probably $300, right? So I'm going to use that maybe to buy some more Banadiers, maybe some Gamalayos, maybe some, maybe the Boys Imperial. No, what is it? The my God, Voice Imperial, I think it is. So that's one that I've been watching that I want to get. Anyway, I am, kind of start moving into the entry niche stuff, but maybe that's where I stay. I don't see myself spending a lot of money, right? Like it's not that serious for me. Like I said, I'm a consumer, not a collector. I don't need a wall full of bottles and this channel for me is about documenting, but also maybe sharing with other people and letting you know, look, guys, don't buy into the hype. I'm telling you personally, I'm around people with real money, not this crap that you see on these fragrance channels, right? Do I like I could listen to some of them and say, okay, maybe that guy maybe is pretty successful. Maybe that person genuinely has a business, and maybe they're telling the truth. You know what I mean? I can kind of gauge a little bit by the lingo, a little bit, in terms of maybe the way they speak about things. But for the most part, most of them are bullshitters. Most of them, I enjoy the content because I think it's fun. I enjoy listening about fragrances, notes, kind of this picture that they paint. But the reality is but they're telling you stories of things that they probably never experienced, right? So I work and I live in an industry where I build housing, right? And I've built market rate housing. I've built commercial buildings, businesses, right? And underwriting businesses and commercial leases, and I've done property management. But right now, I'm in the single family for sale market. And so building, rehabbing homes, building new construction. And, right now, I think I mentioned maybe we're working on about 5 homes right now. And I can tell you, we had 5 homes we're working on, in pre-development for another 80 units in a joint venture partnership with a major developer, and I'm telling you guys, we had probably for those 5 homes, we probably had about 500 applicants. Why? Because the demand for affordable housing, for something that's even achievable or grasp or something that the lower to middle income population can grasp is a major demand. Okay. So when I see people trying to use fragrance as a shortcut to whether their careers, to feel better, to and they think that if they pay the $300 or $400, it's going to get them that feeling, or it's going to be that shortcut to what they're trying to achieve. It's not, guys. Look, and I've been guilty of it too, right? And so, but I also understand that I'm seeing people truly struggle, and I'm seeing the economy and I'm seeing what's happening out there. And so, and I'm going to use the analogy of real estate development. You kind of going in and buying a Roja, a I don't know, I wouldn't even say a Creed. I would say like a Roja, like a Bodicea, and you've never, and you're blind buying stuff, three, four, five, $600, $1,000 fragrance, right? Because someone told you that it was, this is what CEOs wear, this is what the boss wears, this is what. boss people wear, right? It's bullshit, guys. I think that if you can find a quality fragrance house, whether it's a Middle Eastern brand that you really enjoy, and you're very intentional in terms of how, what you're looking for. You're not just chasing hype trains. Maybe you like fougères, maybe you like sweeter things, maybe you like citrus, whatever, right? Like you have to figure that out. And I think that you have that opportunity to do that with these lower end fragrance houses and the Middle Eastern houses, and like learn what you like, you know what I mean? And then from there you build on that. Don't chase hype trains. Don't fucking have 100 bottles of crap that you don't reach for, right? Look, and I'm telling you, as somebody who's just sold off, I mean, I literally sold off ton of stuff, right? Because my first year or two was just about chasing and learning and loving and having fun with this stuff. And like, oh, it's only $40, right? And it's easy to kind of, hit the purchase button and and just not being intentional about kind of what I was buying, right? Because it was just fun. But then just realizing, like, I'm like, holy shit, in like 8 months, I built up an entire closet of stuff that I don't even reach for. You know what I mean? And now I'm selling it off, and now I'm being much more intentional. Hence why you're going to see a lot of my stuff is not going to be anything that's hyped. Maybe if it's good and if it fits into like my kind of the stuff that I'm trying to wear, maybe I'll buy it, right? Like I just bought Mykonos, right? I bought their take on the imagination and symphony, right? And I had it for like a week, and I was like, you know what? How many more takes on imagination do I need, right? I have like three or four, and I'm like, and really, when I looked at it, I really liked the Jeremy Hectic. I really, really liked that take on it. I'm like, I'm good. You know what? I sold it. So I sold it right away, and I sold it, and I was able to make money on it because right now Mykonos is hyped. I sold some of the Jeremy's that I wasn't wearing, right? Hence, once again, guys, I'm telling you from experience in terms of like saving your money, not following hype trains. And so, like in real estate development, I see a lot of people who come, maybe look at a course, see something online, watch YouTube videos, right? And will go in, buy something without really having a basic fundamental understanding of how to underwrite something, how to make sure it's going to make money, and lose their money, go bankrupt, maybe never do real estate again, right? Because they had such a horrible experience because they bought into the hype. They bought into, right? Like real estate has waves and has hype trains just like anything else, right? Like you could go on YouTube and find tons of people selling things, and and there's a lot of people who buy it and take risk and take unnecessary risk, right? Because somebody told them that that's what they had to do. And so I see it all the time, right? And so also what I'm seeing is on these apps like Recented or Facebook groups, I'm seeing people sell things that are 99% full. They're five, 600, $800 bottles, a lot of PDMs, parfum de Maris that people bought, right? They're full, right? They bought them because they bought into the hype train, right? They bought into things that they didn't even know what it smelled like. Like they never even drove to smell it. They blind bought things. It's the same thing in real estate. It happens in every industry, right? Where people follow hypes and they follow trends and they take risk and they lose their money. And the only people that make the money are the people on the sales side, right? Once the sale is done, I've made my profit. Whether it's a course, whether it's real estate, whether it's whatever, right? Because if you overpaid for my piece of real estate, I made my money. You're stuck with it now, right? Because you didn't know how to do the underwriting. You didn't know how to back into your acquisition number, right? You didn't understand what it was going to cost you to build or rehab a home. You didn't understand infrastructure. You didn't understand zoning, right? So the same thing is in fragrance. I see it. And look, and I'm telling you, I've even fallen for it, right? Because every industry has, but I did it and I had to risk a lot. It was $40 bottles, right? And so it wasn't like I was taking blind buying three, $400 bottles. So anyway, I'm telling you all this to say that be very intentional, slow down, go out, make a day of it. Even if you have to drive an hour, I've done it. I've driven an hour from me to that huge mall to the King of Prussia Mall. I made a day of it. I left at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30. By the time they opened, I was the first one in. I did it right because I wanted to, and the first time I went with my wife and son because they wanted to go with me, and it was a little bit annoying because they didn't understand that I wanted to take my time, look at all the different stores, right? And so I would advise that if you're gonna go with somebody that is into the fragrance, that's into fragrances just like you. Don't go with somebody that's not into it, right? Because they're gonna get bored, they're gonna rush you, and you're there to learn. You're there to put your nose on things. I made a list of everything that I wanted to put my nose on, things that I had clones of because I wanted to see how close the clone was to the original and whether or not was it worth keeping the clone or buying the original, right? I made a list. I was very intentional. Like what were the MFKs? What were the Rojas? What were the Creeds? The Mind Games, right? Like what were those fragrances that I wanted to smell? Because it's overwhelming when you're there because you're so excited. Like you're like, oh my god, and I try to be respectful to the people that work there because the reality is that they're salespeople. You're literally going to know more than they do, and so keep that in mind that you're going to know more than they do, right? They're going to tell you this thing lasts for 24 hours. Oh, guys, listen. I'm also respectful about the fact that I know that I'm not there to buy. I'm not there to buy retail. I'm there to smell, right? And so I just have a nice conversation with them. I try to keep it brief. I don't try to mislead them, right? And have them do a lot of work in terms of try to give me a price and go to this club. I'm like, hey, no, it's okay. I just want to smell, because I don't want to waste their time, right? Because I mean they're there to make a living too. And I'm there to learn and smell. I'm not there to buy. So just like anything else, guys, go test things, order decants. I have a shitload of decants too in my house, right? Like I have a box full of them because stuff that was overhyped that I was like, wow, I wanted to buy it. And thank God that I ordered decant because it saved me a lot of money too. So as much money as I think I really lost, I didn't lose anything really, guys. I learned, and I got like half my money back for the cheapies, right? And now I'm using that money now to buy things that I really enjoy. My Banders and my Yamaleos, my entry level niche, and maybe one day I'll buy more expensive stuff, but not until I know that I'm ready to buy it, right? My goals are different. My goals are to build wealth, not to try to look wealthy, right? And so I just wanted to leave you with that message, guys. So if you're watching my channel and you're trying to figure out why am I not like reviewing stuff that's very hot or very, I'm reviewing stuff that is relevant to my life, to the world that I'm living in, to my age, right? So if you can connect with that, I promise to give you and be honest with you, and share what I'm learning. And that's the whole purpose of this. But also, it gives me an opportunity to learn about YouTube, learn to talk into a camera, learn building out a channel. Because what I want to do is also I want to teach people how to do real estate development the right way. You know what I mean? And I'm really passionate about it. I'm very good at it. And so that's where my money is, and that's where my focus is, and that's where I live, guys. That's where I live. So it's I've like I said, I mean, I think I said in one video, like I've spent more on masterminds than most of these guys have on their wall. You know what I mean? Just in the last year, I probably spent about $25,000 in just masterminds and getting people to through mentors that have built their companies to mentor me, right, and show me the ins and outs and of how they did it. Because it's one thing to do the thing; it's another thing to build the machine to do the thing. And so that's where my focus is, guys. And so I share all this to say to you that don't buy into the hype. A lot of these guys are bullshitters. And they're using fragrance, and a lot of people use fragrance. A lot of broke people use fragrance to try to kind of elevate themselves and make fun of people that might use clones or and I don't care, right? Like I'm good. So I say that, and look, and if you buy the real thing, do it, but do it because you can do it, and because you've done the research, because you know how to wear it, when to wear it, and and you have the ability to do it, guys. If that's your thing. But if you're buying Middle Eastern, or if you're buying, from fresh fragrance houses, right? Do it, and don't feel embarrassed about it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, guys. I smell better than 99.9% of the people who are in the room today, right? That are going to be at this press conference. 100%. Can almost guarantee you, especially with this Lafayette Street DNA, somebody's going to ask me, what am I wearing? You know what I mean? So, yeah. So anyway, just kind of wanted to do a little rant on that. I'm out here in the world. I see what's happening to the middle income, lower income classes. Is there money in this economy? Absolutely, there's money in the economy, but right now it's concentrated at the top, and so well aware of that. And so just want you to kind of just be careful, learn, don't buy into hype, and yeah, and hopefully I could offer you value. So, all right, God bless. Thank you.